Emma Martinez loved the flower gardens of New Eden Colony. The 8-year-old girl spent most afternoons there after school, drawing pictures of the colorful blooms in her notebook. The flowers were different from Earth flowers. They glowed softly in the evening light and made tiny musical sounds when the wind touched them. She sat cross-legged on the soft grass, her blonde hair tied back in pigtails, completely focused on her drawing. The purple flower in front of her had 6 petals that sparkled like diamonds. Emma wanted to get every detail right. The colony was quiet today. Most people were working in the farms or the mining stations. Emma's father, Captain Jake Martinez, was at the defense base training new soldiers. Her mother was teaching at the school. Emma felt safe here. New Eden was home. The first shadow passed over her so quickly that Emma thought it was just a cloud. But when she looked up, the sky was clear blue. Then came the sound, a deep humming that made her teeth hurt and her stomach feel funny. 3 sleek ships appeared above the colony. They were silver and shaped like teardrops with no windows or visible engines. Emma had never seen ships like these before. They were beautiful and terrifying at the same time. The ships moved with perfect silence now, gliding down toward the colony center. Emma stood up, her drawing forgotten. Something was very wrong. The ships looked too clean, too perfect. Human ships always had scratches and repair marks. These looked like they had just been built. A bright blue beam shot down from the largest ship. It hit the ground near the school building. Emma saw people running and screaming. She wanted to run too, but her legs felt frozen. More beams came down, but these were different. They were gentler, like spotlights. The beams moved across the colony, searching for something. One beam swept across the gardens, getting closer to Emma. She finally found her legs and started running toward her house. But the blue light caught her. Emma felt strange. Her body became heavy and slow. She could still think, but she could not move properly. Tall figures in silver suits came walking through the light beam. They moved wrong, like they had too many joints in their arms and legs. Their heads were covered by helmets that reflected everything like mirrors. Emma could see her own scared face looking back at her from one of the helmets. One of the figures reached Emma. It picked her up with arms that were too long and too thin. The grip was gentle but firm. Emma tried to scream, but only a tiny sound came out. The blue light was making everything fuzzy. More children were being brought to the ships. Emma recognized some of them from her school. Little Bobby from her class. Sarah from the grade below her. All of them had the same confused, sleepy look on their faces. The figures carried the children up into the largest ship. Inside, everything was white and smooth. There were no corners anywhere. The floor felt warm and soft under Emma's feet. The figures placed the children in small rooms with walls that glowed softly. Emma's room had a bed, a chair, and what looked like a window. But the window showed stars moving past very fast. They were already leaving New Eden. She pressed her hands against the window and watched her homeworld get smaller and smaller until it was just a dot. Back on New Eden, Jake Martinez was running through the colony streets. He had seen the ships from the defense base and raced home as fast as he could. The attack was over now. The strange ships were gone, but so were 12 children from the colony. Jake reached the gardens where Emma liked to play. Her notebook was still there, open to a half-finished drawing of a purple flower. Her crayons were scattered on the grass, but Emma was gone. Other parents were arriving now, calling out names, searching everywhere. Mrs. Cooper was crying for her son Bobby. Mr. Williams was shouting for his daughter Sarah. The sounds of grief filled the air. Captain Lisa Bennett, the colony security chief, was checking the defense recordings. The ships had appeared without warning. Their technology was far beyond anything humans had. The energy signatures matched known data about the Zephyrian collective. They left a message, Bennett told Jake. She played the recording on her tablet. A cold mechanical voice spoke in perfect English. Inferior species. Specimens acquired for scientific advancement. Do not pursue. Resistance will result in colony destruction. Jake stared at the tablet. His hands were shaking. Specimens, he whispered. They called our children specimens. The Zephyrians were known throughout the galaxy. They were old, powerful, and considered themselves superior to all other life forms. They took what they wanted from younger species. Sometimes it was resources. Sometimes it was people. They always left the same message. Most species accepted it. The Zephyrians were too strong to fight. Their technology was thousands of years ahead of everyone else. Fighting them was suicide. But Jake Martinez was not thinking about technology or odds. He was thinking about his little girl, alone and scared on an alien ship. He was thinking about her drawings, and her laugh and the way she always tried to catch the musical flowers in her hands. The colony leaders were already talking about filing a formal complaint through diplomatic channels. They would ask the Galactic Council to negotiate for the children's return. It might take years. It might not work at all. Jake walked away from the meeting. He went to his small office at the defense base and sat down at his communication terminal. His fingers moved across the keyboard, sending a message through the quantum network to Earth, to Mars, to every human colony and ship in space. The message was short, just 5 words. They took my daughter Emma. Jake sent the message and then sat back in his chair. He looked at the picture on his desk. Emma was smiling, holding a flower she had picked from the garden. She was missing her 2 front teeth. Jake did not know what would happen next. He did not know if anyone would care about one little girl from a colony world far from Earth. But he had to try. Emma was his whole world. The message traveled through space at the speed of light, bouncing from relay to relay. It reached Earth in 6 hours, Mars in 8, the outer colonies in 12. By the time the sun set on New Eden, the message had been received by every human in the galaxy, and humanity began to wake up. Admiral Lisa Bennett was drinking her morning coffee when the message reached Earth. She was sitting in her office at Sol Defense Command, looking out at the blue planet below. Earth looked peaceful from space. No one could see the anger building in every human heart. The message from Jake Martinez appeared on her screen at 0600 hours. 5 simple words that changed everything. Bennett read it 3 times before she really understood what it meant. They took a human child. Bennett had been in the military for 30 years. She had fought pirates and rebels. She had negotiated with alien traders and diplomats. But she had never seen anything like what happened next. The message spread through the human networks faster than any official communication ever had. Ship captains forwarded it to their crews. Colony governors sent it to their citizens. Space station commanders broadcast it on all frequencies. By noon, every human in the galaxy knew about Emma Martinez. Bennett's communication board lit up like a Christmas tree. Messages poured in from everywhere. The mining colonies in the Centauri system wanted to know what they could do to help. The research stations near Jupiter offered their scientists. The merchant fleet said they would carry supplies for free. Captain Steve Collins called from the Terran Fury, humanity's largest warship. "Admiral, my crew is ready to fight. Just tell us where to go." "Steve, this is not our fight," Bennett said, though her voice lacked conviction. "New Eden is an independent colony. We cannot start a war over one child." "Yes, we can," Collins replied, "and we will." Bennett looked at her staff. Commander Maya Rodriguez, her chief engineer, was reading reports on her tablet. "Maya, what are you looking at?" "Production schedules, Admiral. Every shipyard in human space is asking for weapon designs. The factory worlds want to know what we need. The miners are offering free raw materials." Dr. Aaron Blake walked into the office. The xenobiologist looked tired but excited. "Admiral, I have been studying the Zephyrians for 20 years. This is our chance. Our chance for what?" Bennett asked. "To show the galaxy who we really are," Blake said. He pulled up a hologram of the known galaxy. Red dots marked Zephyrian territory. Blue dots showed human worlds. The humans were scattered and few. The Zephyrians controlled vast areas of space. "The Zephyrians think they know us," Blake continued. "They see us as a young species barely out of our home system. They think we are weak because we do not have their technology." Bennett studied the map. "They are not wrong. Their ships are faster, their weapons stronger, their shields better. But they do not understand us," Blake said. "They have taken children from dozens of species over the centuries." "Do you know what those species did?" "They filed complaints with the Galactic Council," Maya answered. "Exactly. They followed proper diplomatic procedures. They accepted that the Zephyrians were stronger and hoped for eventual justice." Bennett began to understand. "We are not going to do that." "No," Blake smiled. "We are going to do something the Zephyrians have never seen before. We are going to fight for our child." The reports kept coming in. The asteroid miners had stopped all other work and were focusing on war materials. The agricultural worlds were sending food supplies to the fleet bases. The research colonies were sharing their most advanced technologies. Maya Rodriguez was coordinating it all. "Admiral, I have never seen anything like this. Usually it takes months to organize a fleet operation. Today I have ship captains volunteering faster than I can count them." A new message arrived from the frontier worlds. Colonel Sam Peters, leader of the Space Marines, was requesting permission to form an assault force. His message was direct. "Give me a target and I will get that little girl back." Bennett felt something she had not felt in years. Hope. Not the careful, diplomatic hope of negotiated solutions. This was the fierce hope of a species that protected its young. She opened a channel to all human worlds and ships. "This is Admiral Bennett, Sol Defense Command. You have all heard about Emma Martinez, 8 years old, taken from her home by aliens who think we are too weak to respond." The channel crackled with static as thousands of ships and stations listened. "They are wrong," Bennett continued. "We are assembling the largest human fleet in history. We are going to find Emma Martinez and bring her home. We are going to show the galaxy that humanity protects its children." The response was immediate. Ship after ship reported ready for duty. Captains who had never worked together were forming squadrons. Rival colonies were sharing resources. The human race was becoming something it had never been before: unified. Dr. Blake was analyzing intelligence reports about Zephyrian society. "Admiral, they are a very old species. They have been the dominant power in this region for over 50,000 years. They believe that age and technology give them the right to do whatever they want." "What do they want with human children?" Bennett asked. "They study young minds from different species. They believe they can learn how to control other races by understanding how their children think. They have done this to many worlds." Maya Rodriguez looked up from her work. "Admiral, the weapon modifications are ready. We cannot match their technology, but we can surprise them." "How?" "They build for efficiency and elegance. We are building for destruction. Raw, simple, overwhelming destruction." Bennett nodded. The plan was forming in her mind. They would not try to fight the Zephyrian ship to ship. They would not play by the rules of civilized warfare. They would do something unexpected. They would fight like humans. Captain Collins appeared on the main screen. Behind him, Bennett could see his crew working frantically. "Admiral, the Terran Fury is ready. So are 200 other ships. When do we leave?" "As soon as we find the target," Bennett replied. A new voice joined the conversation. It was Agent Ryan Cooper, one of their best intelligence operatives. "Admiral, I'm already in Zephyrian space. I have leads on where they might have taken the children." "Ryan, get out of there," Bennett ordered. "It is too dangerous." "No, Admiral. I am staying. That little girl needs someone on the inside." Bennett looked around her office. 6 hours ago, she had been planning routine patrol schedules. Now she was coordinating an invasion force that was growing every minute. Maya Rodriguez handed her a final report. "Admiral, we have 500 ships ready to fight. More are coming every hour. The supply lines are in place. We can launch within 48 hours. Bennett took a deep breath. She thought about Emma Martinez, scared and alone on an alien ship. She thought about Jake Martinez waiting for news of his daughter. She thought about every human parent in the galaxy watching to see what would happen. "Send the word," Bennett said. "We are going to war." The message went out to every human world. Humanity was coming for Emma Martinez. And nothing would stop them. High Arbiter Zelkath stood in the crystal chamber of the Zephyrian High Command, watching the reports flow in from across their territory. The ancient being's silver skin reflected the blue light of the data streams. For 50,000 years, the Zephyrians had ruled this part of the galaxy. Nothing surprised them anymore. Until today. "The humans are mobilizing," reported Subcommander Vextar. "Our intelligence networks show unusual activity in their space. Ships gathering, resources being moved." Zelkath made a sound that might have been laughter if Zephyrians understood humor. "Mobilizing? They are primitives who barely learned to travel between stars a few centuries ago. What can they possibly do?" The truth was that Zelkath barely remembered taking the human specimens. It was routine work. Every few months they collected young minds from different species for their research programs. The humans were just another entry in a very long list. "Shall we increase security around our research facilities?" Vexter asked. "No," Zelkath replied. "Let them waste their resources on empty gestures. When they realize how hopeless their situation is, they will return to their proper place." Meanwhile, Agent Ryan Cooper was crouched in the ventilation system of a Zephyrian outpost. listening to conversations through his translation device. Cooper had been working undercover in alien territory for 5 years. He spoke several alien languages and could pass for a dozen different species if the lighting was dim enough. But this mission was different. This was personal. Cooper had received Jake Martinez's message just like every other human. But unlike most of them, Cooper was already deep in Zephyrian space. He could do something about it right now. The outpost was a supply station for the research fleets. Cooper had been planning to steal some technology and get out. Now he was looking for information about human children. He found it in the station's central computer. Transfer records showed that 12 human specimens had been moved to research facility Cathara 7. The facility was on a fortress world, protected by energy shields and a full battle fleet. Cooper sent the information through his encrypted channel back to Admiral Bennett. Then he started planning how to get to Kithra himself. The human fleet was already moving. Captain Steve Collins stood on the bridge of the Terran Fury, watching 500 ships form up around his flagship. The sight gave him chills. He had never seen so many human vessels in one place. "Captain," his weapons officer reported, "the new modifications are complete. We have removed all defensive systems except basic life support. Everything else is now weapons and engines." Collins nodded. Maya Rodriguez's plan was simple and brutal. Instead of trying to match Zephyrian technology, they would overwhelm it with raw firepower. Each human ship now carried 3 times its normal weapon load. The plan had risks. Without proper shields and armor, any hit could destroy them. But Collins understood the logic. They were not planning to survive this battle. They were planning to win it. Sergeant Kelly Adams was preparing her Space Marines for boarding actions. Adams had fought in a dozen conflicts, but never anything like this. Her orders were clear: get to the children by any means necessary. "Listen up," Adams told her troops. "The enemy thinks we are weak because we are young. They think we fight like civilized people. Today we show them how wrong they are." The first engagement happened at a Zephyrian patrol station near the border. 3 human destroyers led by Commander Alex Turner approached the station slowly, broadcasting surrender signals. The Zephyrian commander, Velmore, was puzzled. Humans never surrendered this easily, but the ships appeared to be unarmed, their weapons powered down. When the human ships got close enough, they opened fire with everything they had. The concentrated barrage overwhelmed the station's shields in seconds. Turner's ships rammed the station at full speed, destroying it completely. All 3 human ships were lost. But the message was sent. More attacks followed. Human ships appeared throughout Zephyrian space, hitting supply convoys and communication relays. They used tactics no civilized species would consider: suicide runs, ramming attacks, boarding parties that fought to the death. Captain Beth Morgan led a squadron of fighters against a Zephyrian cruiser. When her weapons ran out, she flew her fighter directly into the enemy ship's engine core. The explosion destroyed both vessels. The Zephyrians were confused. Most species fought carefully, trying to preserve their ships and crews. Humans seemed to consider their own lives expendable if it meant completing their mission. High Arbiter Zelkath received the battle reports with growing concern. "How many ships have we lost?" 15, my lord, Vextar replied. "But the humans have lost twice as many. Then why do I feel like we are losing?" The answer came from their intelligence networks. For every human ship destroyed, 2 more appeared to take its place. The humans were building and converting ships faster than the Zephyrians could count them. Dr. Aaron Blake was coordinating the intelligence effort from Earth. His teams had hacked into Zephyrian communication networks and were tracking enemy movements. The data showed something remarkable. The Zephyrians were pulling back. For the first time in their long history, they were retreating from a younger species. "Admiral," Blake reported to Bennett, "they are consolidating their forces around their core worlds. They are afraid." Bennett studied the tactical displays. The human fleet was taking heavy losses, but they were accomplishing their mission. Every Zephyrian ship they destroyed was one less defender at their target. Agent Cooper sent another message from deep in enemy territory. He had infiltrated a supply convoy heading to Cathara 7. His message was brief. "Found her. Emma is alive. Facility heavily defended. We'll try to get inside." Jake Martinez was aboard the heavy cruiser Vengeance, part of the assault fleet. Admiral Bennett had given him a choice: stay home and wait, or come along and help rescue his daughter. The choice was easy. Jake had no military training beyond basic colony defense, but he knew Emma better than anyone. If they found her, he would recognize her immediately. If she was scared, his voice might calm her down. The final piece of intelligence came from an unexpected source. A Zephyrian defector named Kavith had grown sick of his species' arrogance. He contacted the human fleet with detailed information about Cathera 7's defenses. The facility is built into a mountain, Kavith explained through the translation system. It has shield generators at 3 points. If you can destroy all 3 simultaneously, the shields will fall. Admiral Bennett looked at the tactical plan. It would require perfect timing and incredible luck. Most of the attacking fleet would be destroyed. But if it worked, they could reach Emma. All ships, Bennett broadcast, this is it. We are going to Cathera. We are going to get our children back. And we are going to show the galaxy that humanity protects its own. The human fleet turned toward the Cathera system. Behind them, space was littered with the wreckage of both fleets. Ahead of them waited the largest battle in human history. In her small cell on Cathera 7, Emma Martinez felt the vibrations through the mountain. Something big was happening outside. She pressed her ear to the wall and listened to the sounds of preparation. The aliens were getting ready for a fight. Emma smiled for the first time since her capture. She knew those sounds. She had heard them on New Eden during defense drills. Her father was coming for her. The Cathera system blazed with the light of 2 fleets preparing for war. High Arbiter Zelkath stood on the command deck of the Eternal Dominion, the largest ship in the Zephyrian fleet. Around him, 300 vessels formed a defensive wall around the fortress world. They actually came, Zelkath said, watching the human fleet emerge from hyperspace. The sight should have been amusing. 500 primitive ships against the most advanced fleet in the galaxy. But Zelkath felt something he had not experienced in centuries. Doubt. Admiral Bennett stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Righteous Fury, studying the enemy formation. The Zephyrian ships hung in space like silver jewels, beautiful and deadly. Each one was worth 10 human vessels in terms of technology. All ships, this is Admiral Bennett, she broadcast to the fleet. You know why we are here? Down on that planet is Emma Martinez and 11 other children. They are scared and alone, waiting for us to bring them home. Captain Collins checked his weapon systems one final time. The Terran Fury carried enough firepower to level a small moon. It also had enough fuel for exactly 1 battle. There would be no retreat from this fight. Bennett, our long-range scanners show the shield generators, reported Commander Maya Rodriguez. 3 installations, just like our intelligence said. They are heavily defended. The plan was desperate. 3 human squadrons would make simultaneous suicide runs on the shield generators. If even 1 generator survived, the shields would remain active and the assault would fail. Sergeant Kelly Adams was already suited up for the ground attack. Her Marines were loaded into assault pods, ready to be fired at the planet like bullets. It was the most dangerous type of military operation possible. Marines, listen up, Adams said over the comm. We are going in hot and fast. Our job is to find those children and get them out. Everything else is secondary. On Cathera 7, Emma Martinez had been moved to a new cell deeper in the mountain. The alien scientists were clearly worried about something. They kept checking their security systems and speaking in quick, nervous voices. Emma had learned some of their language during her weeks in captivity. She understood that ships were coming. Many ships. The aliens were preparing to fight. Agent Ryan Cooper was hidden in a storage room 3 levels above Emma's cell. He had made it inside the facility by disguising himself as a maintenance worker. His stolen uniform was uncomfortable, but it had gotten him past the security checkpoints. Cooper had located the children. They were being held in separate cells in the lower levels. Emma was the closest to the main laboratory. The others were scattered throughout the facility. The battle began when Commander Alex Turner led his fighter squadron directly at the nearest shield generator. Turner's small ships moved too fast for the heavy Zephyrian weapons to track, but smaller defensive guns opened fire, filling space with deadly energy beams. This is Turner, he called over the radio. Going in now. If we do not make it, remember us. Turner's fighters dove through the defensive fire like meteors. Ships exploded around him, but the survivors kept flying. Turner's own fighter was hit twice, losing its left wing and most of its engine power. He aimed his crippled ship directly at the shield generator and activated his self-destruct system. The explosion lit up half the planet's surface. Generator 1 is down, reported Maya Rodriguez. 2 more to go. Captain Beth Morgan was leading the attack on Generator 2. Her heavy cruisers were taking massive damage from the Zephyrian defense platforms, but they kept firing, pouring energy into the enemy shields. "All ships concentrate fire," Morgan ordered. "Everything we have." The human ships moved into close formation, making themselves easier targets but combining their firepower. One by one they were destroyed. But their sacrifice was not wasted. The shield generator's defenses failed under the massive assault. Morgan's flagship, the Indomitable, rammed the generator complex at full speed. The second shield generator went down in a ball of fire. High Arbiter Zelkath watched the primitive humans destroy themselves to reach their goal. It made no sense. A civilized species would have negotiated. They would have accepted the loss and moved on. "My lord," reported Sub-Commander Vextar, "they are targeting the final generator. Should we reinforce it?" "No," Zelkath said. "Let them come. When they reach the surface, our ground forces will destroy them." The third squadron was led by Captain Steve Collins himself. The Terran Fury and its escort ships faced the heaviest defenses of all. The final shield generator was protected by the Eternal Dominion and 50 smaller vessels. "This is Collins," he broadcast to the entire human fleet. "For Emma Martinez. For all our children. For humanity." The Terran Fury charged directly at the Zephyrian flagship. Collins knew his ship could not win a straight fight against the Eternal Dominion. But he was not planning to fight fair. Maya Rodriguez had saved the best surprise for last. The Terran Fury's engines had been modified to overload catastrophically. The ship was essentially a guided bomb with enough explosive power to destroy a small city. The two flagships met in the space above. Kythera 7, the Eternal Dominions. Weapons tore through the Terran Fury's hull, but Collins kept his ship on course. At the last second, he ejected in an escape pod and watched his ship impact the enemy vessel. The explosion could be seen from 3 star systems away. Both flagships were destroyed, along with the final shield generator. "Shields are down," Maya Rodriguez reported from her backup command ship. "Marine assault pods launching now." Sergeant Kelly Adams felt her stomach drop as the assault pod fired toward the planet's surface. Around her, 200 Marines were experiencing the same violent ride. Half the pods would be destroyed by defensive fire. The other half would crash land at tremendous speed. Adams's pod hit the ground like a meteor, digging a crater 20 feet deep. She kicked open the hatch and rolled out, her rifle ready. The Zephyrian facility was built into the mountainside, with heavy blast doors protecting the entrance. "Demolitions team, get those doors open," Adams ordered. The charges blew the doors apart in a shower of metal and stone. Adams led her Marines into the facility, fighting through corridors filled with defensive robots and alien soldiers. Inside the facility, Agent Cooper heard the explosions and knew the assault had begun. He made his move, heading for Emma's cell. The corridors were chaos, with alarms blaring and alien guards running in all directions. Emma heard the fighting getting closer. She had been moved to a laboratory where the alien scientists were preparing to evacuate their research. Emma knew this was her chance. When the door opened and a figure in a stolen uniform appeared, Emma almost cried with relief. The person looked human, even if she could not see his face clearly. "Emma Martinez?" Agent Cooper asked. "Yes," Emma whispered. "My name is Ryan Cooper. I am here to take you home." Cooper picked up Emma and carried her through the facility. Behind them, Sergeant Adams and her Marines were fighting their way deeper into the mountain, searching for the other children. The fighting was brutal. The Zephyrians had superior weapons, but the humans had superior motivation. Every Marine knew they were fighting for children. Every shot they fired was aimed with deadly precision. Adams found Bobby Cooper in a cell near the central laboratory. The boy was weak but alive. 2 Marines stayed to protect him while Adams continued searching. One by one, the children were found and rescued. Some were in the medical wing. Others were in holding cells. All of them were scared but alive. The final confrontation came in the main laboratory, where the lead Zephyrian scientist was trying to destroy his research data. Adams kicked down the door and found the alien standing over Sarah Williams, the last missing child. "Step away from her," Adams ordered. Her rifle aimed at the scientist's head. The Zephyrian raised his hands in surrender. In his culture, the death of a scientist was a terrible loss. But as Adams approached, the alien pulled out a weapon and aimed it at Sarah. Adams did not hesitate. Her shot took the scientist's head off, Sarah was safe. Agent Cooper reached the surface with Emma just as Jake Martinez arrived with the second wave of Marines. Father and daughter saw each other across the smoking battlefield and ran toward each other. Jake dropped his rifle and caught Emma in his arms. She was thin and scared, but she was alive and whole. For a moment, the war stopped as every human on the battlefield watched the reunion. "I knew you would come," Emma whispered into her father's chest. "Always," Jake replied. "Always." The battle for Kithara 7 was won. All 12 children were rescued, but the cost had been enormous. 3/4 of the human fleet was destroyed. Thousands of good people had died, but they had sent a message that would echo across the galaxy. Humanity protects its children. Emma Martinez sat in the medical bay of the rescue ship, her father's arms wrapped tightly around her. She was safe now, but the nightmares would take time to fade. The alien tests had not hurt her body, but they had frightened her more than anything in her young life. "Tell me about the flowers," Jake said softly. It was their old game from when Emma had trouble sleeping. She would describe the musical flowers from New Eden's gardens, and he would listen until she felt calm. "They sing when the wind touches them," Emma began, her voice barely a whisper, "and they glow purple and blue in the evening." All around them, the other rescued children were reuniting with their families. Bobby Cooper was hugging his parents. Sarah Williams was crying happy tears with her mother. For the first time in weeks, the sound on the ship was laughter instead of battle alarms. But the war was not over yet. Admiral Bennett stood on the bridge of her new flagship, the Determination. The human fleet had been reduced to barely 100 ships, but they were still deep in Zephyrian territory. Around them, the wreckage of the greatest space battle in human history drifted slowly through the darkness. The Zephyrian High Fleet was gone. The Eternal Dominion was destroyed. High Arbiter Zelkath was dead, but there were still Zephyrian worlds and bases throughout this region of space. "Admiral," reported Commander Maya Rodriguez, "we are receiving surrender offers from 12 Zephyrian colonies. They want to negotiate." Bennett looked at the tactical display. The remaining human ships were damaged and low on supplies. They had accomplished their mission, but they were very far from home. "What about their homeworld?" Bennett asked. "The planet Zephyr Prime is undefended," Maya replied. "Most of their fleet was here at Kithara. The homeworld has only civilian ships and orbital stations." Bennett made a decision that would echo through galactic history. Instead of accepting the surrender offers and heading home, she ordered the fleet to continue to Zephyr Prime. The Zephyrian homeworld was ancient and beautiful. Cities of crystal and metal covered the continents. Orbital platforms that had existed for thousands of years surrounded the planet like a crown of jewels. The human fleet arrived without firing a shot. Bennett opened a communication channel to the planet's surface. "This is Admiral Lisa Bennett of the Human Defense Force," she broadcast. "We have come for our children, and we have found them. Your military forces have been defeated. Your High Arbiter is dead. We could destroy your world, but that is not why we are here." On the planet's surface, the Zephyrian population watched in terror as the primitive human ships took position above their cities. For 50,000 years, no enemy had ever reached their homeworld. Bennett continued her broadcast. "We are not conquerors. We are parents. You took our children, and we came to get them back. That is what humans do. We protect our families." The surviving Zephyrian leaders gathered in their ancient council chambers. Sub-Commander Vextar, now the highest-ranking military officer alive, spoke for his species. "Humans," he said into the communication system. We did not understand. We have taken specimens from many worlds. No species has ever responded as you have." "Because no species loves their children as much as we do," Bennett replied. "And that is the message we want you to remember." Bennett ordered her ships to take positions around Zephyr Prime, but not to attack. Instead, she did something the Zephyrians had never seen before. She used their own communication networks to broadcast a message to the entire galaxy. Every species in known space received the transmission, from the ancient Torval Empire to the newest member worlds of the Galactic Council. Everyone heard Admiral Bennett's words. "Citizens of the galaxy," Bennett began, "this is Admiral Lisa Bennett of humanity. 3 weeks ago, the Zephyrian Collective took 12 children from the human colony of New Eden. They called our children specimens and told us not to pursue them." The transmission showed images of the battle. Human ships sacrificing themselves to reach the children. Marines fighting through alien facilities. The reunion of parents and children on the battlefield. We have pursued them, Bennett continued. We have fought them. We have defeated them. Our children are safe and the Zephyrian fleet is destroyed. This is the message we want every species in the galaxy to understand. Humanity protects its young. Agent Ryan Cooper was still on Kythera 7, helping with the evacuation of human prisoners from other Zephyrian facilities. The aliens had been taking people from dozens of worlds for centuries. Most of the prisoners were too old or too damaged to return home, but Cooper was determined to save everyone he could. How many more facilities like this? Cooper asked a Zephyrian technician who was cooperating with the rescue efforts. 17, the alien replied, but most are automated now. The specimens are kept in suspended animation. Cooper felt sick. Hundreds of people from dozens of worlds stolen from their families and forgotten. But now they would be found. The human fleet was already moving to liberate the other facilities. Back on the Determination, Admiral Bennett prepared the final part of her message to the galaxy. We are not an aggressive species, she broadcast. We do not seek to conquer or rule others. We want to trade with you, learn from you, and live in peace. But if you threaten our families, if you take our children, we will come for you. The camera focused on Bennett's face. She looked tired but determined. Behind her, the crew of the Determination worked quietly at their stations. We will burn your fleets to ash, Bennett continued. We will reduce your worlds to rubble. We will hunt you across the galaxy until every stolen child is returned. This is not a threat. This is a promise. The transmission ended with images of Emma Martinez drawing pictures in the ship's recreation room. She was safe, surrounded by her father and the other rescued children, but her eyes still held the memory of fear. The response from the galaxy was immediate. The Galactic Council called an emergency session. The Torval Empire sent messages of support for humanity's actions. Even the notorious Vex pirates released a statement saying they would never target human children. More importantly, 17 different species came forward with information about missing people in Zephyrian territory. The human fleet spent the next 3 months liberating prison facilities and research stations, freeing hundreds of people who had been given up for dead. The Zephyrian collective formally surrendered 6 weeks after the Battle of Kythera. The remaining Zephyrian leaders agreed to pay reparations to every species they had wronged. Their advanced technology would be shared freely with their former victims. But the most important change was in how the galaxy viewed humanity. Before the war, humans had been seen as a minor species confined to a small corner of space. Now they were recognized as something far more dangerous, a species that would stop at nothing to protect its children. Jake Martinez returned to New Eden with Emma and the other rescued children. The colony held a celebration that lasted for 3 days. Emma was a hero, but she was also just a little girl who wanted to play in the gardens and draw pictures of musical flowers. Will the bad aliens come back? Emma asked her father one evening as they watched the sunset. No, Jake replied. The whole galaxy knows about us now. They know what happens when someone hurts our children. Emma nodded and went back to her drawing. She was making a picture of the rescue ship, with her father standing on the deck looking for her. At the bottom of the page, she wrote in careful letters, "My daddy came to save me." Admiral Bennett was promoted to head of Galactic Defense. Her first order was to establish rescue stations throughout human space, ready to respond to any threat against human families. The stations were small, but their message was clear. Humanity was watching. Commander Maya Rodriguez designed new ships specifically for rescue operations. They were fast, heavily armed, and carried emergency supplies for displaced children. The galaxy called them guardian ships, but humans had a simpler name: parent ships. Agent Ryan Cooper continued his work in deep space, but now he was part of an official program. The Human Intelligence Service established networks throughout the galaxy, always watching for signs of trouble. Cooper's reports helped prevent dozens of potential incidents. The rescued children grew up to become teachers, doctors, engineers, and explorers. But they never forgot that when they were in danger, all of humanity had come to save them. Emma Martinez became a diplomat, working to prevent other children from experiencing what she had endured. Years later, when Emma was grown and had children of her own, she would tell them the story of the Great Rescue. She would explain how one little girl's kidnapping had united humanity and changed the galaxy forever. Remember, she would always say at the end of the story, We are human. We protect our children, we protect each other, and we never give up. The galaxy had learned that lesson well. In the decades that followed, no species ever again made the mistake of taking a human child, because humanity had sent a message that would never be forgotten. Touch our children, and we will come for you, all of us.